60% of my business clients have been with us more than 15 years.
Wow.
And if you go back to pre-COVID to now, we have 100% retention. I think one of the reasons why we have that retention is we're active and proactive in making recommendations with strategic plans on this is what you need to do next. This is what you need to do next. And we follow through with it and we do what we say.
Hello and welcome to Auto Titans. I'm Jamie Butters with Diana Lee, CEO of Constellation, and our special guest today is Tim McCarthy, CEO of the McCarthy Companies. Tim, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're so excited to have you.
I'm happy to be in New York. It's a great place to be.
Tim, you have such a great origin story, cold calling dealers from your kitchen back in the 90s. What were you thinking? What were those first calls like?
Tim, you got to start from the beginning.
Really?
Roll back. I mean, it's just such a fascinating story. And you got to talk about your dad and how it happened, because it really is inspirational, especially to the younger viewers.
Well, filter. Okay.
Okay, all right, filter.
I grew up under just fantastic parents. I was one of the most blessed guys you can imagine. And my dad had a pretty intense work ethic, very intense work ethic, and I picked that up. But I played hard when I went to college, and I played too hard. And Dad told me one day, he said, "You know what happened today?" And I was like, "No." He goes, "The money tree died." And I was like, and he meant it. I mean, it died, and I had to go to work. Ended up in the radio business, did really well, really fast there. I got recruited by an ad agency that does what I do in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This is when I was 20, maybe 21 years old. I know I was too young to rent a car, because I had to get real creative about when I went somewhere, how I was going to get a car. And I decided that it was time for me to start my own business. And, honestly, I had fallen in love with the entrepreneurial spirit of the car dealer. I was meeting these other men that didn't graduate from college, and they were very successful and had built great families. And we just had a shared kind of knife fighting mentality. And I moved to Dallas, Texas with nothing. I mean, actually, that's not true. My mom bought a $5,000 CD that I was able to use as security for a $5,000 loan, because my credit was all jacked up, and that paid my rent for about 5 months.
Funny.
Yeah, I have it framed in my office. That was in 1994. And
I jacked up my credit in my college too. Same exact thing.
Thank God for moms, right?
I know.
So what I did is I went to the Dallas Municipal Library every day in my cheap suit and empty briefcase, and I literally pulled the yellow pages. If you remember the yellow pages.
Yes, of course.
Pulled them off the wall from random cities.
Yes.
And turned to the automobile dealer section, Xeroxed them, put them back in my briefcase, went to my house in the hood, and Glen Rossed every single dealer in that particular market, asking for meetings, and then went back the next day and selected another city. And I did that for a long time. And
wait, I want to add a question on that. What was your closing ratio?
It wasn't very high.
It was not.
No, it wasn't very high. But the first client, real organization that hired me was a company called the Dobbs Organization. They were either second or third to get rolled up by Wayne Huizinga in what is now Auto Nation. They were based in Memphis. Phenomenal people. So they had 17, I think, franchise stores. And in each store, they had a managing partner.
Wow.
And what I learned from that, so I was going, I was sitting on the desk with these guys on Saturdays. I mean, really embracing the car business. And
yes.
I was there on closeout.
Yes.
In Mobile, Alabama, in one of the Honda stores, and a fax came over. And it was a legal size fax, and it came from the management company of the Dobbs Company. And these guys had to fold it in half. Wow. And if they were below the crease, it was a doc sheet. It was the statement for each store in the enterprise. And if they were below the crease from having folded it, they had to stay on a call for another hour with the management company. So my goal was to keep my clients above the crease. And that's where I learned as a young man. I guess I was 23 or 4 at that time. that advertising wasn't about generating traffic. And it wasn't about generating necessarily car sales. It was about assisting the store in making money.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that was the capitalism and the capitalistic effect that just ingrained into my DNA, and that's consistent through my company now. It was about making money and building a healthy, enduring company. So that's how it started, and thank God for those days.
I'm wondering, what does your organization look like now in terms of how many like creative people and sales and tech, and are they all in Dallas or are they all over the country?
Everybody's in Dallas with the exception of a couple of one-off employees. Full-time, we're right at 60. 19 of that is in my creative department. My client base is from the Bay Area of California down into West Palm Beach.
I love the passion that you have and the excellence that you do for your clients. In order to do that well, you really have to have teams that just execute on those types of services. So I admire what you guys have built because it is the best in class creative that I've seen out there.
We have a lot of synergy, I think, between our two companies. You know, I learned early on that a business is absolutely nothing without people.
Yes.
And, you know, it's people, 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 people. And without that, and without nurturing that and building that, you really have nothing. You have a shell.
Tim, I got to tell you, you're not an easy guy to research. Uh, I was trying to prepare for this. I could not find hardly anything written about you, and I think it's really remarkable because you've had a lot of success. A lot of agency owners, I think, go try to get their names out in the press a lot, and you haven't. You've taken a different approach. I'm curious, why has that been your strategy and your approach to business?
You know, I've never wanted to make it about me. It's really the business. It was probably a tactical mistake to put my name on the business when I started it 30 years ago. You asked about our organization. I don't have a salespeople. I don't have any. There's not a single person in the country that's out pitching our business. 100% of our business is referrals.
But can I tell you what is
Yeah.
fascinating about your business?
Right.
The retention.
Yes.
That your customers, you've had them for 10 plus years. Nobody churns. Everybody just uses you. Once they make the decision, you make sure that you show up for them.
60% of my business clients have been with us more than 15 years.
Wow.
And if you go back to pre-COVID to now, we have 100% retention. You know, I think one of the reasons why we have that retention is we're active and proactive in making recommendations with strategic plans on this is what you need to do next. This is what you need to do next. And we follow through with it and we do what we say.
It's amazing. It's funny also because everybody knows you that have been around for a very long time.
Really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think they all relate to you. They know you. And these are pretty big names, right?
Yeah.
So I admire that as well, just because even though like Jamie's saying that you might not be in the press, the right people all know who you are.
Well, that's good to hear. And I hope they speak positively of us.
For those who aren't familiar, from browsing your website, these are some of the best names, in the business. We're talking about, Van Tile, McClarty, Mike Maroney. I mean, it's very impressive roster. So you don't have salespeople out pitching. When you get a referral, what drives that? Is it the creative? Is it the data or other business KPIs, or why do people refer you? Why do you win more business these days?
We find enterprises that lack a strategic, actionable plan. The question came up today about AI, right? And how are we
Yes.
evolving with all of the
Yes.
AI tools? And
Yes.
we talked about the synergy of that in 2008 and 9 when search started becoming relevant, and the race in the industry to make sure that you had all of the components and make sure you're not being left behind. And the same thing happened then as what I see is happening now. All the technology and components to be relevant are fantastic, but if they're not integrated into a strategic plan, who you are, what are the core values of the business, is the culture consistent with your advertising and your marketing so that the people that work inside the company are proud to wear the badge on their shirt when they go to a T-ball game, along with all of these components into a strategic plan. That's what I find more often is the lack of a plan. What am I going to do in this down market? Not, there's a lot of advertising agencies that will sit across the desk and say, what do you think we should do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, what posture is that, right? It's got to be, here's what I see happening. This is what your next step is. Here's what I see happening. This is what your next step is.
I think also, like you have said to me in the past, how you actually go into their CRM, you analyze the
Oh, yeah.
data, you see basically where they're losing, and then you're putting strategic insights based off of what all the analysis that you're doing.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's remarkable.
What you're doing is creating leads and then turns into appointments, and then those appointments confirming, and then what's the show rate on those confirmed appointments, and then what the closing ratio is on that to what gross profit.
Yeah.
Then you're not having a business conversation.
Yeah.
You're having a do you like my advertising conversation, and that's not what we're in. We're business partners, and the goal is to capture market share, beat everybody else in your marketplace, and make as much possible money doing it as you possibly can, and be proud of the way that you're represented in your community.
Yeah.
It's not that complex, but in fact, my account directors will tell you that we say it all the time. If you ever say to a client, what do you want to do this month? You're probably working in the wrong place. But fortunately, we haven't had to have that conversation in a long time.
Well, clearly you have intelligent humans there, but I want to bring it back to the AI. How are you guys using it? Use it with data stuff? Are you using it with production, or use it just sort of case by case, deploying it as a tool?
All of it. First real application that we saw was VO3. And it kind of shocked everybody. And we started hearing Hollywood was going to go out of business. That, I look across all these beautiful creative minds that I have in our creative department, and you can see the fear in their eyes when we started seeing these things. And once we started being able to wrap our head around, these are tools. These are tools to use the brilliance that's between your ears and to guide the AI as an asset. I finally got my creative department wrapping their head around that. Fear is gone. But, obviously the AI tools that help us with the algorithms and identifying, correct search, targeting, and all of those things are great. And even the AI that we see that's happening in fixed operations, is just spectacular. We know our business is going to be different, but I 100% believe it's going to be very bright. And, having relationships like what we're forming with your company, Diana, are going to help us get there. You're leading.
What I love about our partnership is the things I suck at are the things that you're great at. And I just feel like it's such a great synergistic fit the way we work together. I do the boring work, the permutations of all the assets nobody wants to make. So we automated a lot of those steps. And, I don't usually go after original artwork for that reason. And the fact that you guys make original content and you're able to go into the CRM and you're able to do the analysis, I'm very, very impressed by what you guys do.
Well, I think our future is bright. You have to be able to bob and weave between clearly identifying the data and then applying emotion to delivering what the data tells you. And if you are in Texas, like Classic Chevrolet is a perfect example, largest Chevrolet store in the world. I mean, the outsold number 2 last year by, I think it was 1,200 units, and it might be 2,500 units this year. I mean, they mopped the floor, right? Well, they are very clearly identified in the state as a Texas store. The cinematography and the film work that we did on ranch land and cowboys and horses, and their tagline is relax and enjoy the difference. And that is their culture. If you walk in the dealership, the salespeople can dust all their own deals. They're in shorts, they're in golf shirts. It is their posture. So their advertising is consistent with the culture of their company, while we're in here laying digital airstrikes, right, from what the data is telling us. And if those things work together, if the culture is consistent, or if your market representation is consistent with your culture and your precision with your strikes, then you've got a magic combination.
Well, where are most of the dealerships you guys do business with now?
You know, we have a big footprint in the state of Texas.
Okay.
You know, I was telling you about the Dobbs organization that sold to what became AutoNation back in 1996. Those guys are now operating a platform in Memphis, Tennessee, and they're clients of ours now and have been for 18 years now.
Wow.
Down into West Palm Beach, we're in the Tampa. We have a big presence through the Sun Belt. Southern California is very important to us. Colorado is very important to us.
You want to come to the east?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's a big opportunity for us. We know.
So aside from the geographic overlap, Tim, help me understand how do you see the companies working together? What do you get from Constellation, and how does that add value?
Diana and I have been personally working together. I think you've made 4 trips to Dallas in the last just 30, 45 days, right? What this becomes is probably not what we envisioned today. I'm seeing tools that are going to give my company the ability to be so much faster and so much more nimble managing, you know, a 90-day marketing plan, but managing it week by week. Let's put it in real context,
Yeah.
right? So there's huge front-end margin compression right now, right?
Yep.
It's one of the real, you know, areas of heartburn for the current industry, the current marketplace that we're in. The dealer body knows that. And if you're a high volume dealer, that margin compression is very expensive. The clients that we work with are bullish about the future. So they're in that high volume game, not just to hit SFE or whatever the retro money is that comes back. They're in that high volume game to earn what's going to pay off in 90 days, because we all feel like this is a dip, not a correction. And so they're getting themselves in a posture to be able to really, you know, lay some ground, right? Well, if my staff can get a trigger, and let's say half-ton trucks in a Chevy store is where we're at, and we're at a $15,000 discount, if we can get an alert that a very important competitor just lowered to 15.5 on that core value, and I can act on that in minutes, as opposed to reporting it at a month-end advertising meeting, now we're moving quick. I mean, just that simple tool. And I think we went through 15 different tools in the last month. So the ability to be quicker, the ability to know that your partner is stable, which I have all of that confidence, and the ability to have confidence that being visionary is a core value. I think the opportunities are really bright.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that you have access to CRM data, because I can set those things up as triggers as well for profitability, and it's automatic.
How could you live without CRM data?
I
You know,
know, it's so
how could
true.
you possibly be? I see it all the time. How could you possibly be? How could you represent an enterprise of 9, 10 dealerships, privately owned,
Yeah,
second, third generation maybe,
yeah,
and be making $10 million recommendations on advertising without knowing what's happening inside the business? And I see it all the time, but that's brain damage
I
to
know,
me.
so true.
That seems really extraordinary to get that granular. It's not just advertising. It's so much more rigorous, you know, marketing and hand-to-hand combat practically.
It is. Hand-to-hand combat is a great way of saying it. You know, when you have downturns, fractures become cracks, cracks become breaks. And when you can identify these little hairline fractures and just showing appointments, you know, I'll give you a perfect case in point. When, let's say it was last April, when we had our first real significant interest rate bump.
Yeah,
Was it maybe
yeah,
about
yeah,
a year and a
it's
half
true.
ago?
Yeah,
We started seeing in real-time data that show rate on set appointments was dropping, like
wow,
significantly.
interesting.
I didn't know why.
All the way across.
All the way across. It was payment calculators.
Oh, because it went up so much.
Jane Doe sets an appointment to come see a black Camry.
Yeah,
John Doe confirms the appointment with Jane Doe. Jane Doe gets excited about going to see that Camry, shares with her husband, let's look at this VDP we're going to see, show the kids, boom, let's calculate our payments. Payment calculator defaulted to 7.5%. And all of a sudden it shows them a $900 payment when they're currently at $475. They say, we're not going. And they no-showed for the appointment. We were able to respond by either removing the payment calculators or adjusting the default rate. But if you're not watching that stuff, then you're not really in the partnership of your client's business success. And that, I would tell you, is probably why we have such high retention levels I mean, we're in the business of helping our clients run a better business.
And your dealers must be so happy with you guys when you can actually give them insights like that.
All my clients are grumpy right now.
Oh, I know. Everybody's grumpy right now.
They're all grumpy. Everybody's grumpy, but fortunately I'm blessed with a collection of, 100 or so really great business people that are on the offense. They have an offensive posture and recognize that we're gonna pop right out of this.
Well, people are saying to me, it's kind of interesting. I had a dealer say to me recently that this is the cycle that we should have experienced before COVID happened.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But because of COVID, we bypassed all of that. And now here we are.
Yeah.
And margins are just tanking all the way across the country just because people are not buying new vehicles. There's a lot of slowdown on that.
These dealerships have to make a profit, and they're accustomed to good profits, and the good business people recognize that we had a utopia anomaly.
Yes.
With the industry post-COVID, but there is no industry more resilient than the individual car dealer in the United States. You can't compare it to any other sector. There's no one more resilient. And I was looking back, or we had this discussion. We'll be in business, I guess it's 31 years now. And if you look at that timeline, you had banks fail in 2008. Everybody thought that it was the end of the world for the car business, right? COVID was a big one. 9/11 was a big one. There are all these reasons why you're not supposed to do great. In every single scenario, the car business and the industry came out stronger in every single instance. And it was the entrepreneurial mentality of, never say die.
It's the dealers. And it's funny, you call it a knife fight. I always called it a street fight.
It is.
I said, it's a street fight, and you got to get dirty and you got to fight like hell to stay alive. But I'm just telling you, I love that about dealers. I just love that. I love the mentality of, you're going to do whatever it takes that your business survives.
I would say one of the most respected organizations in the country, and I'm not going to use their name, but truly one of the most respected organizations in the country, privately held. I had someone tell me yesterday.
Yes.
I was in Los Angeles yesterday before I came out to see you. And the gentleman said in the room, you know what? Sometimes we just fire first and aim later. And,
that's so great.
that sounds kind of reckless, but when you're surrounded by offensive posture entrepreneurs that get really good information, taking calculated risks is part of the entrepreneurial spirit. And so, you might have to clean up some broken glass as you go, but if you have a nimble posture, the brakes are pretty small, but you're still moving forward. So
very true.
Fire ready aim. Yeah.
I love it. I love that.
Today, I'm proud to say this. Today, I am only in the automotive business, and I've never worked for banks. I've never worked for Burger Kings, and we have lived and died by the success and challenges in the automotive industry, and that has come with its challenges, but it's also come with very bright results too. So
it's amazing.
How did you learn about CRMs and things like that as a creative type person when you were first calling on dealers? How did you figure out a niche for yourself?
And I have a question about that too.
Okay.
Was it that because you just got called out by so many dealers saying you didn't do your job, so you had to go find what really happened?
I would tell you we were just on the front end of it. The Van Tile organization 20 years ago was the first of our clients to really embrace CRM data. It's not a bolt-on for us. It's part of just course of doing business. It's like having 4 tires on your car. I mean, you got to have the information. Prior to 2008, there was a lot of throw it against the wall and hope that it sticks, right? Big high volume car dealerships would spend $200,000 a month of television advertising. And the only real trackable ROI data we had at the time was who'scalling.com, the pioneers in call tracking. And we'll be able to say, well, that generated 17 calls and that generated 90, do more of that. And that was about the totality of it. Coming out of that, the consumer had retracted substantially, and that $300,000 advertising budget shrank to 50. I don't know how I survived through it. I mean, it was just kind of a never say quit mentality. That is when, at exactly that timing, is when search boutiques popped up. So there were companies like mine that tipped over because we go from $2 million a month in revenue to 50 grand, right? Because everything shut off. We managed it. The individuals that were working in these bigger companies left, and they all splintered into these boutiques and these little search boutiques. There were thousands of them. Search boutiques, internet consulting companies, media buying companies, production companies. But it was generating ROI. You could actually track. And at that time, we were calling it pay-per-click, right?
Oh, yeah.
I
remember pay-per-click.
It was generating ROI, and it suddenly was putting truth serum into the advertising. And the older analog companies, I guess we were kind of in the sweet spot, because when that was happening, I was still, a young man. We were able to reposture into that. But what happened was, and it's very similar. It's a very similar scenario that we're seeing with with the AI evolution or revolution, is all these components were, these dealer bodies were saying, I'm not in this, I'm not in that, I'm not in this, I'm not in that. And suddenly they had 25 different vendors, all in an exercise to be relevant.
It's happening now.
It's 100% happening now. And there was.
They don't even know the names of the vendors that they hire.
I see it every day. They were rushing to be KPI relevant, but without the strategic plan, none of it meant anything.
Yeah.
And that's what we see today. When my reps generate a budget for our clients, it's on one big calendar, and it shows every line item that runs through my business and what our fees are. And then below that tab, there's a list that's called Dealer Direct. And that's everything that a dealer body interacts with that goes onto the statement for marketing or advertising that I don't affect. That list is double. So that's all the lead, first it was lead providers, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not in the lead provider business, I'm not relevant. First it was lead providers, but all of the fix stops, the used car, new car, AI tools that are starting to stack up just from quality sales pitches.
It's so funny because you've got like the big conglomerates who haven't really innovated in a very long time. Then you got all these little AI companies. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
And they're like popping up left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them know nothing about the auto industry, but they think they can actually revolutionize it.
That's right.
Then you've got some of them that are still very small, but they have a little bit of employees that have some auto experience. They can add a little bit of value. But I just think right now, more than ever, every dealer is just confused more than ever. And there's so many, which I find very interesting. They're actually building AI infrastructure inside of the dealership now. Like conversational AI is another one. And I asked one of my friends, like, what's happening with that out there? And she said, oh, the big guys, they're building their own conversational AI, and they actually have a name for it now. Have you seen some of this happening?
I got an email from an agent, from an AI agent the other day, and I thought that it was a new hire, and I didn't appreciate the tone.
Oh my God.
And I walked over and I looked at somebody in my office, and I was like, who's this person talking to me like that? I'll tell you about an experience I had recently. So
Yeah.
there was another high profile client that we have contracted a paid media consultant.
Okay.
Because this consultant who's never been accountable to market share, who's never been accountable to appointment showing, confirming, turning into car deals, doesn't understand growth, can't read a statement from a car dealership, bowing up to my staff, about questioning how much PMAX we're running or whatever. And, we took it as a learning lesson. These are all good nuggets. But at the end of the day, if you're not of the mindset that the metrics matter, but the results are paramount, and the results are selling cars, managing inventory, making more net profit, and retention of your customers and your employees, that's the business.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so true.
And you can get paralysis by analysis all day long on
Yeah.
metrics. And if you're going to run in the game where we're at, you better be on point, and
Yeah.
you better be prepared to get challenged. And we're challenged all the time. If your focus isn't the success of your client, you belong in the advertising space where you got a director that wears a beret on his head and a long cigarette in a director's chair. Okay. The nature of where we're going with our two businesses is not for today, it's for tomorrow. And I'm committed to building an enduring business, not just for me, but all the staff that works with me in their careers. And I feel great about where we're headed
too.
and
Me
the
too.
tech that's coming out of your company.
I think this part's interesting, Jamie, but like all of these little AI companies out there, a lot of them are self-funded at this point. And I think that what people are going to realize is that they're not all going to make it. Many of them are going to fail many times over.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have the funding it takes to actually develop, because to be honest, you have to have the money in order to actually constantly iterate and
Yeah.
develop your product.
Mhm.
If you are a big company, a conglomerate, you actually stop developing products, because the products that were innovative 10 years ago, a lot of them are exactly the same now. And then you've got the little AIs that they are basically innovative, but they don't have the financial infrastructure to keep developing and making it more strategic for the automotive industry. And then you've got like guys like mine, I feel like, where we're in a sweet spot because we want to revolutionize the auto industry. Like, I don't want to do this if I can't do that. Like, if I can't change things with technology and make things easier and better and faster and stronger, not just from a consumer perspective, but from a dealer perspective, I'm not going to do it anymore. It's not
Right.
fun. So to me, I love how our businesses work together, because I think we're committed to our clients.
That's it. All those things that you just articulated, if a dealer or an enterprise of dealerships
Yes.
can make better decisions quicker
Yes.
on aged inventory pricing or competitive
Yes.
pricing, whatever it is, it's just an advantage on the competition. And that's the one thing that you're never going to take out of the American car dealer posture. And that is the intense sense of competitiveness.
It's so true.
It's just not,
It's so true.
It's what I love about the business. One of the many things I love about the business.
And they're so sure of their decisions
100%.
too.
And clean up the mess after you're done.
It's
Yeah,
so true.
that's right.
Tim, maybe you sort of answered this earlier, but one of the things Diana and I have been talking about through the course of the year is kind of how dealers need to think about zero-click search. How do you make sure that you can compete when people are going to Chat or Claude to ask what's the best pickup deal near me or the best Chevy dealer near me, instead of doing a Google search and clicking through some other options?
I wish I could predict the future on where that's going. I can tell you what I'm telling my clients is you better be 100% prepared to be transparent. If you look back just 2 years ago, the individual that had all of the information, that knew trade value, knew what real rates they were going to qualify for, what a realistic payment was going to be, all of those things, that was in a much smaller sliver of the population, right? And today, advent of the available information and the intent to go get the information from the consumer has changed so much only in the last 6 months. It even further reinforces that the experience that you have with that customer has got to be a Ritz-Carlton experience.
Yes.
You've got to be transparent, and you have to be
Yes.
looking at every single transaction as one more transaction towards retention. So that experience has got to be fantastic. Look, the consumer wants 4 things. They want it to be simple, easy, fast, and transparent. That's all
Yeah.
they want.
Yeah.
DoorDash
So
wouldn't
true.
exist if it was about being cheaper.
So true.
Fast, easy, simple, transparent, right?
I
And
love that.
they're going to let you make a gross profit. They're going to talk good about you. They're going to give you good reviews, and that whole experience is going to be good if you have that transparent experience. And that's how I see the direct impact more than anything as it relates to chat or any of that, is that the consumer is armed with information. And if they come to you with information and you try to tell them something different, they're going back to 1992, and we got to be thinking about 2031, right?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right about the relationship. You see it more than ever now because loneliness is an all-time high, right? With the younger generation, the more digitized we become, the less happier we really are.
Yeah.
So it is about that experience and being kind and humble and nice to each other. And to me, I feel like we've overlooked it in that dealership experience. It's that I totally believe you get your CSI up and in a true way, not lying, in a true way that's meaningful for the client, and we all win.
Take that posture, make your advertising consistent with that posture, have all the information at your fingertips so that you can nimbly move and strike fast. And you have a posture that you're going to beat the hell out of everybody that you compete with, and you're going to have a winning team, right?
I love it. Yeah.
Tim, this has been a fascinating conversation. I know you don't give a lot of interviews, so I really appreciate that you were here with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jamie.